obviously a long process, 2 years. Day one, you feel like he was the victim in this deal. Turns out he was the victim. Just talk about the process.
Well, Mr. Murray was in the case first, representing Mr. Brewer, and I came in to help Jamie. And we've spent untold hours on this case, and it is real difficult, as Mr. Murray and I were talking about, representing someone who is not guilty and who you believe is not guilty, than it is to represent someone who is guilty, and it's an issue of punishment. In this particular case, we had a great client, had great parents, and great people to support him, and we just worked really hard, and the facts went our way this time.
You know, this is what's going on in society, I think, that you have to prove your innocence. Almost a double standard sometimes. If a man says something, no one really pays much attention. A teenager says something, all of a sudden there's a real problem, and you have to prove your innocence, and sometimes that's frustrating. But I think Stacey and Stacey's family have a lot of courage. They were uncommon, and they had the courage and the faith to stand up for what they believed and to put their life in the hands of 12 jurors who they never met before. And I think a lot of us, the credit goes to Stacey, and I want to appreciate Cheryl. This case got bigger as it went, and it's been a real privilege working with Cheryl on this case.
You guys were confident from day one. The jurors only take a total of 90 minutes from being recessed, from giving the verdict. That had to give you a little bit more of an idea of what the verdict was.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
You never have a relief until it's back.
But it looked like they gave you their full attention the entire time. And
I think they did, but I've had cases where the verdict came back very quickly and it was guilty also.
Yeah.
So I have won and lost. So you can't always tell how long it takes, and you can't tell if they look at you or if they don't look at you.
Right.
You just can't ever tell what they're going to do until you hear the verdict forms.
Right.
And until you hear the last verdict form too.
Right. Let's move on to Mr. Brewer. You said he was the victim. Apparently he was the victim.
Yes.
And now, can Mr. Brewer go on with his life as usual now?
Well, he has some things that we have to clean up here. Hopefully he'll be able to, but I don't know that he'll ever be able to teach again or coach again, which is a shame because that's what he wanted to do all of his life. And obviously he's very good at it, since we had people from Wyoming and Colorado and Oklahoma testifying for him. As I said in my closing argument, there are a lot of people who don't have that many people to come and testify for them. It was really unusual.
I think Stacey's a real trusting person, almost naive.
Right.
He never thought anybody would say anything inappropriate about him, and that's where our world has come to. You know, I hope that there's a school administrator there with some courage and some real courage to do the right thing and to give a great educator another chance. In small schools, it's hard to find people that will give the heart and soul like Stacey has. And so I'm hoping there's an administrator out there that will put in maybe some precautions and give Stacey a chance to rebuild his career.
Right.
He's at Coyle Public School, still on paid leave.
Yes.
As you mentioned, it's nice to see the school back him up because he had not been legally found of these charges as it was going on. Coyle gets a lot of, public schools gets a lot of credit for what they did as well.
Yes, they certainly did stand behind him. They did everything right, although the District Attorney's Office and OSBI doesn't necessarily think they did. They did everything by the book that they were supposed to do, and it turned out well because they did that. I think that the state wanted to make it a negative that the school stood behind Mr. Brewer and Stacey, but they know him better than anybody else.
Yeah.
And so that's what they took into account, and that's why they did what they did.
And really, I'll probably get in trouble for this, but shame on them for trying to make being a good friend and believing someone's innocent before proven guilty. Shame on them for trying to spin that and making that a bad thing.
Right.
You know, we need more people that will stand for right. And pretty soon, if it keeps going this way, no one will ever do anything. Well, I don't want to get involved. I want to be politically correct. I want to be socially accepted. Well, sometimes to do the right thing, you have to be alone on an island. And I applaud the Coyle administration for what they did and the courage they had, despite the rhetoric that came from the District Attorney's Office and the OSBI's office.
Well, and I think, too, the OSBI, in saying that Coyle didn't do their job and should have done things differently, they didn't talk to anyone on the bus other than Ashley Admire. They didn't go back to talk to anyone at the Coyle School. They complained about us having the teacher testify about her taking or having the essay about guilt, and or what do you feel bad about, and taking everything out of context and not trying to get to the bottom of everything. And I think that Coyle is to be commended for the way that they've handled everything. They did a great job, and they stood behind somebody that they knew was innocent.
2 years is a long time. Big sigh of relief today.
Yeah,
Surprising. I mean, it was emotional. I didn't
it is.
think I was going to get there, but I did. It
It
was
is.
kind of relief.
Something you go home and you sit down and you go, oh my. It's really nice.